We've got heavy downpours yet again, but as you mentioned, it was yesterday that made headlines in Sanford. This shows real easily what's going on. Where you see the orange, you got it. Dry weather.
Tape from Orlando?
I sure do.
Let's take a look at your report.
Okay.
And the center is about 257 miles away from Orlando.
Oh my gosh, this looks like kind of hard. Like she was really good.
Break it down for the rainfall totals for everybody. This is the whole rain event. 3 to 4 inches in our north and western areas. Pretty much the same thing in the metro areas, and along the coast you'll have similar conditions as well. While the amount of storms may vary from each prediction, the message is the same. This hurricane season will see nearly twice the amount of storms that usually form in a typical season.
She joins me now with the latest from out there.
Tony, thanks. So I wanted to kind of get immersed in these trees because I wanted folks to know just how high this debris field is and how amazing the destruction is. Now you may be wondering how high of a wind do you have to knock a tree over this large? Well, according to the National Weather Service, you have to have about 150-mile-per-hour winds to topple something this big. And as you can see, there is aluminum siding ahead of me and all around me. They call it a degree of destruction, and based on this degree of destruction, they rate these as F3s or F4s. We know that an F3 came through Lady Lake at about 150 miles an hour and then actually strengthened after that. It's all part of this new enhanced Fujita scale that the National Weather Service had to use this weekend to determine what kind of tornadoes were here. The big difference from this new scale from the old scale is this degree of destruction. It's not based so much on winds anymore. It's based on how much destruction. Severe destruction is what comes with this F3, and we'll likely continue to get more information, Tony, in the up and coming days of just how high the winds were as this system crossed that 70-mile swath as it headed towards New Smyrna Beach that morning on Friday. Back to you. Got that right, Sally. A real drag, a real pain, you name it. Folks just aren't happy when the weather turns bad, especially of all days on a Friday. You just knew it was going to be a bad day when you got out of bed and stumbled into this. A little bit of rain and a whole lot of people all trying to get to the same place at the same time to ruin your Friday.
I'm trying to get back to the plane to head home.
And you can't get home because of the rain.
No, I can't get home yet.
So what do you do when your skies turn gray? If you're Rich Tilden, you catch a Friday flick.
It's a little depressing. So we're going to a funny movie and make up for it.
For most of us, that means dodging the raindrops the best we can. Or if you're stuck in traffic, catching up with a letter to mom. For traffic cops, the wet weather means about 3 times the normal workload. Slick roads caught many motorists off guard, and that meant big-time traffic trouble. For UPS driver Mike Flavel, stormy weather isn't that big of a deal. But on a Friday, so a little rain doesn't bother you, even on a Friday.
Well, on a Friday, yeah, I'd say it does.
And it always seems Murphy's Law, isn't it? On a Friday, it's cloudy and wet, and on a Monday, sunny and dry. However, Sally, I know there is a silver lining to these clouds. Dave Marsh will be along in just a few minutes to tell us more about that. For now, we're live outside Winter Park. I'm meteorologist Leslie Hudson for News Channel 2. Amy, as you know, we were just commenting inside with our weather producer, Chris, how today reminds us of what a true wet day in Central Florida is in the summer. We've got heavy downpours yet again, but as you mentioned, it was yesterday that made headlines in Sanford. Nearly 6 inches in just 2 hours flooded out many homes. Folks had to rush for higher ground, including Gilbert and Priscilla Harris, whose home was flooded out. They were actually had to climb out of their window last night because the water rose so quickly. It certainly set a record in Sanford. Slow-moving storms again tonight potentially could be trouble. And as you know, there's a lot of lightning. We had over 8,000 strikes of lightning. A lot of folks commenting on that last night as well. And I can guarantee you there's some here outside our Winter Park studios.
Tape from Orlando?
I sure do.
Let's take a look at your report.
Okay.
And the center is about 257 miles away from Orlando.
Oh my gosh, this looks like kind of hard. Like she was really good. First of all, can I just tell you, just from, you know, man to lady, great shoes. Do you ever get really mad that, like, the viewers at home never see your shoes? That would make me furious. You know what I'm excited about being on the news? Those, like, newsy, like, montage openers.
With Wendy Chioggi, Jim Payne.
And we're all happy.
Oh my God, you're thrilled.
We're so happy.
Yeah, this is how it should look.
You can wait till
Ready?
you see
This is how it should look.
I look like
you should be surprised.
Okay.
Like you don't expect it. The camera
When the tree came down, I could see that sleigh on that tree.
Kathy Clark is trimming a not-so-traditional Christmas tree this year after her 80-foot oak tree was no match for Hurricane Charlie.
If you could push that tree back up, trust me, it would be up. You know, because it was such a beautiful thing, but you can't do that, so you might as well just enjoy what you have.
And that's exactly what Kathy and her neighbor Gary Goldacker are doing. They're turning that old oak tree into a new Christmas tree, complete with lights and all the trimmings. You might be wondering, after 3 months, why Kathy didn't decide to remove this big oak tree. Well, she's been living here for nearly 50 years, and she considers this big tree an old friend.
Yeah, but I can't let go of it. And people think I'm crazy, but this tree has always been here.
So what was yard trash created by Charlie is now yard art created by Kathy and Gary.
And we'll remember you, but you know, good riddance, and we'll enjoy the debris that you left by making you know, some lemonade from the lemon that you dealt us.
And even though Charlie has come and gone, Kathy says she has a permanent reminder of that hurricane, a reminder to always see the glass half full instead of half empty. In Winter Park, Leslie Hudson, News Channel 2.
Hey!
It all starts with a helping hand.
It's a picture-perfect family. My mother called us the Bradys.
Habitat Orlando is turning the American dream into reality, board by board and nail by nail. For Angelo Suggs, Habitat Orlando is giving him a chance to live his dream.
I spent most of my life in apartments as, you know, coming up from a younger age, and for the children to experience a home of their own, this is pretty much new to me.
In 1976, Millard and Linda Fuller founded Habitat for Humanity. Their passion to build communities and empower families to have an affordable and decent place to live. Today, Habitat for Humanity is one of the largest nonprofits and home builders in the United States. They are operating in over 90 different countries, and their mission has helped over 750,000 people find decent places to live. I wanted to show you a live Super Doppler too, because I wanted to show you that long arm of rain that's still going to spiral over Florida tonight. So keep that in mind, that you're going to be dealing with some of this as we head through the rest of this evening. So even though you're going to get a break, don't think that it's done with. We still have more out there, and that will be the setup for us tonight. Let me show you a storm tracker real quick, another big picture, and then we'll zoom into Central Florida and take you into this area. I just wanted to show you our 24-hour rain product, just to show you some of these totals that are pretty widespread. Look at that, 3 inches in DeLand, near New Smyrna Beach, where those folks need it. So we're getting a good rain here, and let's hope that it'll stay like this through the rest of tonight and not become severe. Now, there are many warnings that we've been telling you about. Let me show those to you. Along the west coast of Florida, you can see we have our hurricane warning issued. This is, of course, where landfall is expected. And as we head through later tomorrow, again, Flagler Beach, potentially northward, could see those tropical storm force winds. That's why you're under that tropical storm warning. So we'll break it down for the rainfall totals for everybody. This is the whole rain event, 3 to 4 inches in our north and western areas, pretty much the same thing in the metro areas, and along the coast you'll have similar conditions as well. Remember, those winds will be highest on the west side of Central Florida, and we'll be here throughout the night tracking it for you, and of course tomorrow.
Leslie's watching other things as well, right, Les?
Yeah, we're keeping not only a close eye on these models, as you know, Tony, but how they shift further back towards the left. And we've seen that trend the last couple of runs, and that's why we keep talking about potentially that forecast track changing just a bit. 2 main players in the steering of Ernesto. 1, this ridge of high pressure. 2, a cold front that's back behind it. This high pressure could steer Ernesto further towards the west. In fact, that's a trend that we might be seeing here this afternoon. That's what we're going to be watching. And of course, the timing of this cold front and when it picks up Ernesto, that's the only thing that's going to kick it back up over Florida, is the cold front. Now, the pretty vigorous cold front, the Hurricane Center thinks it'll get here tomorrow. If that happens, we should see a turn tomorrow morning more towards the north. Until that turn happens, we're going to be shifting that track a little further towards the west. The wind field at this point is also a little bit closer to the west, at least from 5 o'clock this morning. And then by, say, 6 o'clock tomorrow, most of our counties experiencing 35, 45, maybe 50 miles an hour winds, depending on where exactly Ernesto comes in at. And then leaving, of course, we'll have some squally weather here along parts of Flagler and Volusia counties, a little bit more rougher conditions there because that's where it's going to be headed out, and then strengthening to possibly a hurricane before it makes landfall in North Carolina or South Carolina. Localized rain, this is what we expect based on the current path. 2 to 3 inches in the northwestern areas, 3, maybe up to 4 inches in the metro areas. And again, there will be some pockets here where we could see 2 to 4 inches. Now, Ernesto should be a fast-moving storm by the time it gets to central Florida. The cold front will pick it up. So we're not going to see a lot of heavy amounts of rain. I've bumped these numbers down just a bit based on the fact that cold front's going to move it pretty quickly through central Florida. But again, tropical rains can put down significant amounts in a short amount of time. So we're going to keep your totals anywhere between 2 to 3 inches. In the meantime, today we've got sunshine out there. Low 90s is what we expect. A couple of upper 80s along the coast and a few showers today, but not many. That starts tomorrow. Ernesto bringing in a 70 to 80% chance of rain, and we'll talk a lot more about that in our next half hour. The numbers are in, and while the amount of storms may vary from each prediction, the message is the same. This hurricane season will see nearly twice the amount of storms that usually form in a typical season and will likely surpass a 40-year average. If hurricane forecasters are right, we're in store for another mean season. Our weather is changing, becoming more aggressive, a trend that could last for another 10 to 15 years. Hurricane forecasters are predicting 13 to 16 named storms. 8 to 10 will grow into hurricanes. 4 to 6 of them will be ferocious, with winds greater than 115 miles an hour. 2 to 4 of them will likely strike somewhere in the United States. Dr. William Gray, the guru of hurricane forecasting, says the warm ocean temperatures and wind patterns are ripe for a breeding ground of multiple tropical storms and hurricanes. But a repeat of last year's record 28 named storms is statistically unlikely.
The probability of ever seeing a year like 2004, where you had 4 storms in this area, is extremely low.
But it only takes one hurricane to make it a bad year when it strikes your city. Just ask the survivors of Hurricane Katrina. Let's bring in Dr. Richard Knabb, one of only 6 senior hurricane forecasters in the country at the National Hurricane Center. That means he's the one who actually predicts where these storms are going. Dr. Knabb, what are some of the factors that go into making these predictions?
Yeah, the seasonal forecast relies on looking at past seasons and what sort of signals can we detect in the atmosphere and in the ocean that have led to the activity overall.